A lot going on tonight. I'm having a cup of tea with cinnamon, and I'm doing some dehydrating, and I'm dehydrating ginger. Okay, and I found out something really odd that I had no idea, and I've been going against this rule of thumb. Apparently, you're not supposed to keep ginger or onions in the fridge because it can develop mold, and it can also spoil. And apparently, when it spoils, it can actually become poisonous to you. So, my little remedy to this, because I chew ginger daily, right? So I keep it in the fridge. Um, and I guess I'm not doing that anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all my ginger into small kind of like French fry pieces, and I'm going to dehydrate it. And I've done that before. I did it before when I was able to purchase a lot of ginger and to stockpile it. So when I go for my walks, example, I have a hard time in the warmer weather when it starts to get really, really warm outside. I have a hard time because my body has acclimatized to the cold, and I'm in Canada, and my blood pressure seems to escalate. It seems to get really bad, really high when it's hot. And so, like, I sleep with the fan, I sleep with my window open, and things like that. But I do chew ginger whenever I start to get that nauseated feeling, and it brings my blood pressure down. It drops that number for me. And the other day it really scared me because I started to feel nauseous, and I started literally, like, just out of the blue, I started to feel nauseous, and I was standing doing something. I was cooking, and I think I was making crackers. I think I was making gluten-free crackers, and all of a sudden I got really nauseated, and that's a sign of a precursor to a stroke. And so I thought, well, geez, it's not happening today. So I mowed down on some ginger, and it went away. But apparently now I'm not allowed to keep it in the fridge. So I thought, okay, I've got a whole pile in there. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to dehydrate it. But I normally keep it in like a paper bag because the paper bag will absorb any moisture. And that's what I usually do with my onions. However, I've ran out of paper bags. And there was another thing that they said not to keep in the fridge, and that's cucumbers. I had no idea. I had no idea. But I don't even know if you can dehydrate cucumbers. But I have my cucumbers in the fridge, and I have them in a paper bag, and I'm hoping that's going to alleviate that problem and keep the moisture down, right? So what I'm doing is I'm cutting my ginger into little French fry pieces, and I'm putting it on the trays, and I'm putting it into the dehydrator, and I'm going to dehydrate it, and then I'm going to keep it in the cupboard in a jar. And I do have a lot of mason jars, so I'm going to fill up a mason jar. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tip. I was a smoker many years ago when I first had my heart attack. And when I was quitting, I finally decided that's it, I'm not doing it anymore. And I quit cold turkey. Well, that night I had a stroke, right? The anxiety was so high. So what I've been doing is I've been drinking ashwagandha every morning. I did it for 6 weeks, and then I stopped for 3, and I just started it again because my blood pressure is starting to rise again because we are getting the warmer weather, and that's where my problem lies, is with the warmer weather. So aside from using an air conditioner that are very expensive for us to use nowadays, I don't have much any other options, right? So I just wanted to kind of put it out there that if you're a smoker and you want to quit, okay? And trust me, you should want to quit. Trust me, because the stuff that has happened to me, my teeth, I had beautiful teeth at one time. Now I've got gingivitis or periodontal disease, really bad. And you know, I'm fighting it. I'm trying to keep them white, and I take castor oil and I rub it on my gums and I gargle with it, and it tightens the gums up to my teeth. And you know, I'm doing the best that I can do, but I'm telling you, it is not worth buying a pack of cigarettes. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. Okay, so if you're planning on quitting, get some ginger, real ginger from the grocery store. Cut it into little French fry shapes. Put it in the oven on a tray, okay? A cookie tray. Put it on a cookie tray, put it in the oven, and put it on, bake on low. and leave it there, or broil on low, whichever you've got, whichever you choose to use, right? So if you put it on bake and you put it on the lowest setting that you can get and you let it bake, okay? Then when put it in a mason jar after it's completely dry, no moisture in it at all, put it in a mason jar. And every single time you get a craving for a cigarette, take a French fry piece of that ginger and chew it. Hmm. So yeah, all you have to do is take a little stick of ginger and chew it right down until it breaks down, and then swallow the fiber. And that's what I do. I swallow the fiber, and you know what? You get a craving. You get a craving, and you have to replace that craving. And what I did is I replaced it with ginger. And your body kind of gets used to it every time you want a cigarette, and you take ginger, it's going to get rid of that craving. And it truly, truly works. I mean, if you don't like the taste of ginger, I'm not really good with that light thing, but okay. Anyway, I'm trying, but this isn't about the lights, and this isn't about me being a movie star. This is about smoking. And if you truly, truly want to quit, you have to replace that craving with something else, and replacing it with something that is got a hot taste to it, like ginger, and it does have kind of like a tangy taste to it. It helps. It helps. Your mind starts to accommodate it. Your mind starts to basically trick itself that every time you want a cigarette, your body's saying, okay, well, I know what I'm getting. I'm not getting nicotine. I'm going to be getting some ginger. So, it's a way to battle it. It's a way to battle the fact that you have an addiction to nicotine. And, you could be the strongest person there is, right? And if you have people around you who are encouraging you to do, to smoke or to do drugs or whatever, right? I mean, you're influenced by your environment. You're influenced by the people around you. And if you want to quit something, you have to remove those things from your environment. So remove it from your life. I mean, there may be particular friends in your life that you have to, leave behind. And it's all part of maturing. I mean, it happened to me. I had to leave certain people in my life. I got out of certain relationships because those relationships were, they were pulling me down the wrong road. They were pulling me down the road. I was getting involved in stuff that I wasn't prepared for, truly. And, a lot of the times we want to belong, right? You want to belong to someone or something. How do you think that these people or these groups get our young people involved in, gangs and drug dealing and things? You know why? Because these kids are looking for something to believe in. They're looking for someone to give them attention. They're looking for someone to be there for them. Gangs, it's like having a little brotherhood. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's like having a group of people who've got your back, right? But trust me, gangs, they don't got your back. You get involved in this stuff, and and I'm not talking about drugs. I don't even want to really get into that. Okay, I'm talking about cigarettes and drinking, and the things that young people are. They're in our environment, and they're glorified. I mean, back in the day when I was a young woman, they made cigarette smoking look like it was like, oh, a big party. It was a big party, and you'd look mature, and people would treat you mature. And there was a period in my life where I wasn't treated very good by a lot of people, right? And people that were how would you say that you would expect them to treat me good, and they didn't. They didn't. They didn't treat me good. They didn't respect me, and so I was easy pickings. I was easy pickings for those people who wanted me to get involved in drinking and getting involved in, smoking. And, I did my share of pot, and I smoked some hash. Okay, I never got into the heavy stuff, but don't forget, I'm a child of the 60s. We did that stuff. We would go drinking in the fields. But there came a time in my life where I said, you know what, I'm done. It's time to mature. And so I decided to walk away from that. And trust me, my friends or my enemies, whoever you may be, whoever's watching this, sometimes you have to walk away. And sometimes you have to walk away with your head held high and say, you know what? That's part of my past. That's part of my life before. And now I choose to make my life better. I choose to make my life better. I don't choose to be part of that scenario. I don't choose to, um, you know, kill myself with alcohol or cigarettes. I don't choose that lifestyle. Who would? Like who really? Who would? What? Just so that someone says they like you, they care about you? You know what? It's not worth it. Not worth it. Trust me. And there's plenty of people out there who are interested in having a normal, balanced life. Okay, you don't need to, because you're lonely or because you have no connections. Okay, you don't need to settle, and that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing, and that's the biggest thing that I would tell my kids, that I would tell my friends, those people that are important to me. So you don't have to settle. I settled way too many times in my lifetime. Way too many times. I settled many times. I would take, I would put up with certain behaviors from certain people because that's what I thought I deserved. And I thought that if someone acted um, jealous, that meant they loved you. That's what I thought. Bullshit. Anyway. Anyway, this is about smoking. It's not about relationships. That would be a whole different ballgame. But what I'm talking about is the fact that if you get a craving for a cigarette and you replace it with something, so you go for a walk, or you go fishing, or you read a book, or well, you mightn't be able to read a book because, I know my anxiety level was right through the roof. I would suggest to get some ashwagandha. It lowers your cortisol level. And that is the stress hormone, okay? And when you're stressed out, what's the first thing you do if you're a smoker? You reach for a cigarette. If you're having a rough day at work and you come home from work and, the place is a mess and you have to cook and you're tired and you don't want to do that and you're bitchy, you know what? Have a glass of ashwagandha in water. Yep, every day. Every day for 5 weeks. Have some ashwagandha in a 6 to 8 ounces of water and drink it through a straw every day, every single day, once a day. Yep. And that will take care of the cortisol. But ginger, when it's dehydrated, and I'll show you what it looks like, but ginger when it's dehydrated, now it's got a really hot taste to it. It's got a zingy taste, and a lot of people don't like that zingy taste. So what you can do is you can sprinkle it with cinnamon. And that's what I'm going to do after these dehydrated. I'm going to sprinkle them with cinnamon because I want to make up a package for a friend of mine, actually a very close personal friend, who is quitting smoking. And okay, that's not bullshit. It's someone that I care about that's smoking that wants to quit. And so I'm going to make them up a package. And you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right? So the options are available. There are options available to help you quit smoking, to replace that, to replace the people in your life. I mean, you don't necessarily have to replace them. You just don't indulge. You know what I mean? Move on. Sometimes you have to leave people in the past in order to move into your future. So I shall see you in the next video. And hopefully, if you're smoking, I've given you some tips that will help you quit. I'll see you on the next video. The good Lord be willing.